Hi guys. Hello. Let's get going with today's stream. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Remain Indoors podcast, where we'll be looking at some lighter news from around the internet, having a grumble when required, and talking about the ways we're keeping ourselves entertained at home. Remain indoors. Welcome to the stream. We'll be here for the next 40 minutes or so, talking about life and games and telly and news and stuff. Of course, at the moment, we are in the grip of the corona pandemic, so inevitably there will be some corona talk, but not too much. I'm joined, as I often am, by Matt Two Rumpets. Hello, Matt.
Hey, good to see you yet again all over.
I like how we're being all calm now when seconds before the stream, everything was going wrong. The technicals were going out the window. We're just yelling at each other with a culture of blame, which I like, which I endorse. It was definitely all your fault.
Oh, yeah. I'm used to ignoring people, so this is not a problem for me.
I'm used to ignoring you when you normally go on about tires and DRS and all those F1 things. But we're not even going to talk about Formula One or anything. I think this is just a nice way to keep our spirits up, keep us podcasting, and frankly, at the moment, we've got nothing else to do.
Yes, well, it seems like the perfect opportunity to just stay in touch with our community a little bit, give them a few things to take their minds off the, no doubt, being locked down that we're all going to experience at some point, I would imagine. And just, have a bit of fun.
Are you currently at home for any reason? Now, we should check the status of you. Are you one of the infected, or are you just staying at home because you think it's wise?
We are currently encouraged to practice social distancing and isolation and that sort of thing. And all of the work I have no longer exists. So I have no reason to leave the house other than to secure supplies for the family. And the same is true for my wife. All of her jobs have now stopped. She has no work anymore at all. And of course, the schools have all been closed, so the child is at home. So we've just basically been nesting for the most part.
Fair enough. And one of the big issues you come across like straight away is the fact that you're all at home and all anyone is talking about is the coronavirus. I know you found some nice news stories from around the internet. Some are pandemic related and others are not. And we'll talk a little bit about what we've been watching, what we've been getting up to, and how bad my beard can actually get. This is, I would love to say to you, this is a 2-day beard for those watching on the video. It's not, I haven't shaved for some time, and I'm really curious to see exactly how much I look like an extra from Sons of Anarchy when it's fully grown.
Well, you're well on your way. You're getting some interesting feedback from the chat room already. Ian thinks it's roguish facial fuzz, and Sam is a bit disturbed. He doesn't like the new handsome spanners and requests that you shave, please.
No, I'm gonna keep going, I think, until my wife gets fed up, because on the stream it doesn't look too bad. In real life, I may put it on Instagram. It's terrible, but it is not all going to be beard related this today.
You look like a used lint roller in real life. Is that what you're saying?
A used lint roller. I like that. That's harsh. Okay, fine. If we're going to be insulting people, let's insult Alex Van Gene. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Good afternoon. It's weird coming at 2:00 on a Friday afternoon to you guys.
I know.
This is fun.
This is the first time you've spoken to Matt sober. I'm hoping, because it's like the morning where Matt is.
I'm always the sober one. You forget that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're one of these people who doesn't need alcohol to make the sad go away.
I like a drink. I just don't have to drink.
You don't have to. You get to.
Really, really want to is probably more the point.
Yeah, so that's my panel. It's Matt and Alex who are joining me today. And Matt is going to be joining me all the time because I'm putting a lot of social pressure on him. And we'll try and bring you an interesting person from the world of our podcasting network, from our Picard podcast, from our F1 podcast, and some of my radio guests as well. None of them were free today, which is why Jeansy is joining us. But I guess, Matt, we can do what we do on F1, but we can still use the same buttons. I can still use the same soundboard. So let's look at the Big Dirty News. Big Dirty News. Oh, it's a bit misleading, actually, Matt, because we're looking at kind of the little news. What news items have you trawled up for us today?
Well, as befits most of my life, I spend a fair amount of time on Twitter, and I felt like, given everybody's new at-home status, or should I say status, I never know how you pronounce things over there because it's always wrong no matter what. We have a bit
Matt,
of advice from...
Sorry, can I clarify? Yeah. Whenever you say it and it could be one of two ways, I correct you with just the other one. So if you say status, I'd have gone, Matt, it's status. And if you'd have gone status, Matt, it's status. So I think after 7 years, I should confess that that's what I've been doing the entire time.
I had no idea. This comes as a total shock to me.
That I'm a bit difficult. Go on then. Sorry, you continue.
Well, I have a bit of excellent advice from Tom and Lorenzo. Now, for those of you who don't spend time on Twitter, Tom and Lorenzo mostly do things like critique red carpet runway stuff. Hilariously snarky, in a hilariously snarky fashion. They're one of my wife's favorites. But they tweeted out a bit of advice for working at home with all your new coworkers. Mainly how to work at home with your spouse and not destroy your marriage. So the first and most important thing is when you get up, you must say good morning semi-pleasantly.
Oh, right.
Second thing, you
make a real effort to kind of say to the family, like, good morning, family. And how are you on this fine day? Ready for another day indoors? Is that the idea?
Yes, I think the idea is to pretend that you're not in a mood, even if you are.
Oh,
yes.
And I think we get complacent with our kids and family. We kind of wake up, I grumpily knock past a child on my way to the bathroom. Actually, that's a good point. I never make a particular effort to say hey, good morning, everyone. I'm just like, ugh, I must go to the ablutions now, and then I will consume calories and then maybe say good morning. But usually it's just, right, get dressed. So I'm going to do that. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be a pleasant dad.
Or at least a semi-pleasant dad. I mean, good, not perfect. That's what we're going for here.
Good, not perfect.
I'm normally perfectly pleasant in the morning with my wife and my kids. So that one's an easy one for me. The working at home thing is going to be difficult, though, just because I'm used to working at home. My wife isn't, and I have a terrible nearly 2-year-old. So this will all be interesting.
So Matt, go on. So I was going to say I'm doing some stuff to set my wife up with remote lessons, and she runs choirs and does music lessons. So she wants to speak to people over VC, and of course we have been doing VC chat for a long time with all our projects. So it really is in my wheelhouse. So I've set up a bunch of stuff for her, and I'm like, right, I can teach you how to do it. I said, or I can just be like your producer on the side here because I'm here and it doesn't take much for me to do the live switching. And she said, no, teach me how to do it. I don't know how long we're going to be in this situation for. I cannot work with you day in, day out constantly. And I was like, oh, wow, day 2. We're on day 2 and she's already like, we got to set some boundaries here.
Yes. Well, and setting boundaries is entirely good, which brings us to our second point. Although actually, you know what? I will interrupt myself and say that Rob in the chat room suggests that you have an imaginary family member that you can blame everything on. And I will say, if you have cats, you can always blame it on the cats too. This helps a lot.
I like it. So do we create? All right. Okay. Tell us again. Who is it that is doing this, that you've got this from? Is it a Twitter account?
No. The original advice from the Twitter account, the imaginary friend from the chat.
Ah, okay. So I like it. So whenever anything goes wrong, instead of getting angry with each other, you just go, Jeff's used all the toilet roll again. Jeff, you've wasted your beans. Yeah, I like it.
Jeff's decided to wash the dishes while I'm in the shower for the 3rd straight day. Yes, this sort of thing. Second advice, state your goals and plans for the day over coffee. And this is very important because it gives the impression that you're doing something other than iRacing in your office for 10 straight hours.
Oh, do you know what? So my office is the sheds. So I've worked in the sheds a lot, and it's not that different to me. Strolling out to the shed, locking the soundproof door which is great in a family. But there is always the temptation because the iRacing rig is just behind the green screen. It takes 5 minutes to roll out. So would you believe it? In 6 months, not once have I done a bit of sim racing when I was supposed to be working. That is something I would not have expected. But I've been... Alex, you wouldn't survive that.
I'm smelling something.
Are you smelling lies?
Not so much. I'm smelling their spanners.
That is true. Honestly, it is true. However, under these set of circumstances, it might be necessary to keep sane. However, though, I actually have more time because wife is at home. So normally I have the kids like 4 evenings a week. I don't have that anymore. So a lot of the professional pressure has gone away and my iRating has improved, but not during my designated work time. How dare you?
Well, I will say that I do seem to I will work all day long and I'll be like, 4 o'clock. Yeah, I'll do a little driving. I'll practice on one of the tracks or learn a car or something. And the moment I start, inevitably, my wife sticks her head in the door. She has yet to complain about it, but I know it's only a matter of time. And a shout out to poor Lucas, whose morning started off by discovering cat vomit with his foot.
Oh dear. Hello to the live stream, sir. We've got Ian, Udavir, Sam, Rob, Lucas. This is Sam. It's a different Sam. I'm not just repeating the names because hardly anyone is there. Kyle is there as well, who will be joining us at some point. Oh yeah, hang on, wait a minute, bit of admin. Hey Kyle, do you want to join us at some point? I've just assumed everyone's going to jump on and talk to us, but the thing is, we know
we're all bored. What else are we going to do?
It's not exactly. The availability is off the charts for all our podcast projects. We've also got Rob in there as well. Hello, guys. If you want to join that live chat, I've just put the link on my Twitter, @SpannersReady. I'm sure Matt will share it as well, @MattPT55. And I'm currently streaming from my personal YouTube channel, which is search for Richard Reddy on YouTube. But I haven't curated the other videos on there. So, for example, there's a video of my daughter playing our famous quiz show, Stone or Potato, where she has an object that looks a bit like a stone, also looks a bit like a potato, and the game is that you have to guess. No, don't run ahead. Let me explain it properly. You have to guess whether it's a stone or a potato. And I was the contestant, and she was. So forgive, this channel is not set up as like a podcast brand. It is like the one that I will upload things so that I can send them to my mum.
Yes, well, I find with stone and potato, always go with stone.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was now. So no spoilers here. You'll have to be the judges yourself. How far are we down the list? I'm enjoying this list so far.
We have but one more to go. So to reiterate, number 1, get up, say good morning, semi-pleasantly. Number 2, state your goals and plans for the day over coffee. Number 3, and this is the important one, don't speak to them again or occupy the same room at the same time for the next 10 hours.
Oh, that is fantastic. Oh, I see. So it was all a hilarious joke leading up to that one, which is ignore your family as much as possible.
Well, to be fair, that's kind of the way the day goes. We have coffee. I go to the office. I'm in the office all day. Child does homework. Wife works in a different room. So it actually kind of, I will say, works out for us as a reasonable model. Perhaps not for everybody.
So, Alex, you've got little ones. How are they holding up? And are you doing like full education and stuff?
Phoebe is fine, who is my nearly 5-year-old, and she's actually being a really good girl. Lauren is the one having to do the tutelage because it would be a really big mistake for me to do any form of tutoring.
Because you never learn to read.
Blind leading the blind sort of comes to mind on that one. Isla, my nearly 2-year-old, is a disaster. Isn't napping very well, isn't sleeping as well as she was a few weeks ago, and is generally getting on my wife's last nerve at the moment, especially considering for the last week I have been locked in my room in isolation. Today is the first day that I have been out of isolation, so she is absolutely thrilled that halfway through the day I have abandoned her to come and do this.
I gotta say, man, that was incredibly selfish move to get yourself ill just so you could spend a week locked away playing computer games and watching Netflix and not having to do any childcare at all. But at the same time, my hat is off to you. Well done.
You are my hero.
However, I'll be honest, I tried to get out of this room 3 days ago. She wouldn't let me. She
So
was like, "No, you need to stay." I was going mad. I mean, actually, Spanners, you messaged my wife on Facebook and said, "Please let him outside."
now, before it sounds like I'm just stalking your wife on Facebook, she responded to my post. I said, how are people getting on? Because as a family, we made the decision, and I'm not judging anyone who makes any different decision. Around the middle of last week, we made the decision that we felt the schools were going to shut, and that we felt that that was the right thing to do. And with only a difference of a few days, we just pulled the trigger and we said, right, you guys, come and stay at home, because we think it's going that way anyway. So we'd already had a few days of being at home as a family before they announced that the schools were shutting. So I was just asking how everyone was getting on, because we were getting a taste of what it was like for the people who have had to self-isolate. So I just put a post on there saying, how is everyone getting on? And your wife said, I think you know how it's getting on in our house. And I said, because frankly, some of your messages have been bizarre, Alex, I've said, Alex needs to go outside. Please make him go outside. And she said, I'm happy to lock him out there.
I have been going a teensy bit stir crazy. Bearing in mind, my job, I am based on the road. I cover the whole southeast. I do 30,000 miles a year. So to be locked in a room for 7 days is like my hell. It has been horrible, and I felt terrible. I really, really have that. It has been a temperature, not even a particularly high temperature, but it has been on the scale. But I've just felt awful. I've had no energy. I've been hot and cold numerous times in bed with tracky bottoms and a hoodie on and freezing. So it's not been a nice thing.
So Alex, you know that your wife isn't listening to this, right? She's not tuned into the stream, so you don't have to keep it up. It's fine.
Yeah, you just stick the thermometer behind the radiator before you stick it in your ear.
Nice. Yeah, you're a genius. You clearly don't have coronavirus, and you've got some time in a room. I'm so jealous of you. I'm going to have to try and do that at some point as well. Thank you very much for your update, and I'm sure there's people who are in a similar position. If you want to get in touch with us, I'm always available at SpannersReady on Twitter, or email me spannersready@gmail.com. We don't have any social media set up for this project yet, but I'm hoping that this will turn into something we can do even when there isn't a global pandemic. It's something me and Matt have been trying to do for a while. Matt, we will leave the politics of school closures and Brexit and the US election to the big boys. What kind of news topics are we focusing on today?
Well, it does seem like for every cloud, there is a silver lining. And if there is a silver lining to the lockdown, shutdown that's happening all over the world, it's that, believe it or not, we're seeing a massive reduction in air pollution in the areas where the shutdowns are occurring. In New York, for example, our carbon monoxide levels are 50% lower than they were this time last year. We've seen CO2 drop as well, with about 5 to 10%, and methane. I have to help my daughter with math later, so I do apologize.
I thought that was just how Americans said things. Anytime you say something weird, I just put it down to drunk or American. We could make it a game. Methane.
Yes,
How did you say it? Methane.
Methane.
Okay. Is Matt being drunk, old, or American? Yeah. Anyway, so it's kind of temporary, though, isn't it? I mean, the effect of humans. Yes, I added a third one, Alex. It's my pretend quiz show. I can do whatever I want.
No. I said he's being all three.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, that's valid. Yeah, but it's temporary. There's no point getting excited that CO2 levels are dropping in China because they've shut the factories, because it's just going to go back, isn't it?
Is it though? Because I've been thinking a bit about this, and yes, I think in terms of industrial production, you will see levels start to come back up again. But let's face it, if I'm a corporation and I employ 5,000 people and I send them all home to work, and 80% of the work gets done from home, I suddenly ask myself, do I need commercial real estate for all 5,000 of these people, or can I send them home and get the same work done and severely offload a bunch of my costs and therefore make more money for me? And I think we may see depending upon how long this lasts, a significant change in how people do their business going forward, because it's got to be cheaper for them to not have the real estate.
Yes, perhaps. Yeah, you have to weigh the commercial costs with maintaining that IT structure. But I'll address what you just said. But I'll just say firstly, Matt. Hey, Matt, bring us a light-hearted topic from around the world. Okay, man. So the effect of air pollution from the economy based on lack of traveling due to corona. That's quite heavy. We'll run with it. We'll roll with it, Matt. I have always hated traveling, say we had a place where we had one office in Stevenage and one office near Gloucester. So it's like a 4-hour drive through rush hour traffic. And I used to just find it maddening. We were in, I was like second in charge of our team, and I was saying to the line manager all the time, look, why are we driving this distance when we could all just hook up over a video conference? And he'd always find some reason. But he was one of these, and he was just a lovely bloke, but he wanted to, it makes a difference when you go to an office and touch the guy's hand and shake their hand and look them in the eye. It makes a huge difference. I've never found that. I've always found that those kind of things almost get in the way. And when you're on a VC, you don't want to talk over each other. There's a slight delay on the line, so you have to take turns, like we do here, Alex. But you know, it's much more formal in a way, and I've always found video conference the preferable way to conduct a business meeting. Alex?
From someone who is in sales and someone who relies on body language and being in somebody's environment to help make a better conversation, I think you can have a much more relaxed atmosphere when you're face to face with somebody than if you turn up and something like this, where so I'm going to have to start doing more of these types of calls. So I'll actually have a little bit more basis for this in the next couple of weeks, months. But I don't think it's as effective a sales tool especially when you're doing sales. If you're just trying to have a meeting regarding a project or something, that's different. But for me, trying to do a deal with a developer on a particular housing product, and I want a housing project, and I want them to have my product.
Yeah. No, I'm getting
for
what
me
you're saying.
for me to sit there for that kind of thing. I don't think it works as well,
Matt,
because you can't really see their eyes and things like that. And also, people will go completely into themselves. They'll have poor technology. I don't think it works as well.
See, Matt, what he's saying is you need to see the smiling eyes of the snake when he tries to trick you into a business deal you don't need.
Yeah. Well, I would point out that that's not really what we're talking about at all. But I get if you're trying to sell someone something that there might be advantage to being there in person, because there's lots of nonverbal cues you can use to help get them over the hump of giving you lots of money for probably an inferior product, because that's mostly what sales is anyway, right? Kidding.
He doesn't look. He
Kidding.
He doesn't.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen him look like that.
Matt,
before.
he doesn't look offended because it's true. You're just like, you're an evil salesman.
It's really funny. The worst salespeople are the ones who lie, and that's how everyone thinks they have this concept of salespeople. I don't tell lies for one really, really good reason. I have a rubbish memory, so I cannot remember the lies I tell. So I don't tell lies,
Alex.
And I'm an honest person, and that's with everything in life.
That is why I don't have affairs. It's not because I'm a good person or husband. It's the logistics. It is just too.
There is no way I could deal with the guilt.
No
way, not a chance in a million years. Gonna do. Your wife will never find out. She will, because I'll tell her. Because I'll say something. Do you know what I did? Oh, damn! I've told you now.
No, that's not the issue for me at all. I wouldn't feel guilty as long as I don't get hurt. No, it's the logistics. I don't know how people manage it. And when I hear about my friends who are, off, going around the country with oven gloves to stop themselves getting burned in these situations, then they're like, oh yeah. And then we went to this hotel. Then I went back to her place, and then I had to say I was working overtime. I could never maintain those level of lies. And my wife is well aware that my fidelity is purely based on logistics and admin.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't manage that. But no, from a sales point of view, I've always been the honest guy. And for me, it's always been about relationships, which comes back to the whole thing about doing it over video conference. Unless you already have a good relationship with the person you're having a video conference with, I think it's a very difficult thing to have to start a relationship with. I'm going to have this in a couple of weeks because I have this with a developer coming up. So I'll feedback.
In these projects, Matt, we have had relationships with people that we have developed online only for years and years and years, to the point where I don't think you were one of the last members of the Missed Apex panel that I ever met, because you live in America. And Chris Catman Turner, our quiz master and veterinarian, I had never met him, but he turned up at a karting event, and I was like, oh yeah, there's Catman. It didn't occur to me that we'd never met in real life. His parents were there, and I was giving him the sort of normal banter we would do over video chat, and I was calling him all sorts of names and everything. And then he sort of went, given that this is the first time we've met, I was like, oh, I never thought about it like that. But it was the first time we'd met, and I was already calling him names in front of his parents like we were old friends. And I think that's when I kind of realised now that, to me, I value this kind of relationship over video chat as much as I do anyone I've met in real life.
Well, it's a funny thing because you do, especially online, if your whole relationship is online, but if once you talk to someone, once you write things to them, once you video conference with them enough, it's not the same kind of switch that you'd think it would be when you finally meet them in real life. I mean, it's nice to be able to sit and have a beer together, but you know these people, you have an existing relationship with them. So it's not impossible to build relationships and trust online.
Sam H in our chat room says I hate shaking hands. The last meeting I had, we just sort of awkwardly stared at each other, and it was miles better. At the moment, Tony Thunderbeast Barnard came to my house today to borrow a steering wheel, but we made the decision, not to have him in, not to socialise. He had to get on his way anyway. But I take my balled up fist, which would normally be a sign of aggression, place it across my heart out of respect, and then gently bow, respectfully bow like that. And that is my new pandemic. That's my pandemic greeting. I put no, not elbows. Van Gene's doing the elbows. You're still too close. In fact, if anything, with the elbows, you have to get closer. Whoever thought of touching elbows instead of shaking hands is an idiot.
So you're more the ankle greeting then?
No, that's still contact. Bow respectfully. I've made myself very clear, from a distance of 2 to 3 meters.
At least all of Brad's experience of being a really bad hugger doesn't matter now.
Oh, right. Our friend Bradley Philpott, GT driver, race instructor, and tyre tester, is the worst at hugging. And the thing is, he doesn't know he's bad at hugging. It's incredible. He thinks he's in the hug, but it's like hugging a small tree.
He doesn't know, despite how many times we've all told him.
Yes, correct. I've never felt comfortable with hugs. I swear in the 80s and the 90s, that wasn't a thing. You would shake hands or nod, and then the very European full-on hugs and kisses on both cheeks creeped in. And now, yeah, it's very common for a strange lady that you don't know to say, oh, hello, nice to meet you, and hug you. And I feel very uncomfortable with that. I feel uncomfortable even like hugging my mother-in-law or my sister-in-laws. And I say, oh, I just don't need it. So I'm happy to not have strangers hug me. So Sam H, I'm completely with you. I think you are normal. And yes, that's right. It is very, very, very European to do all the kissy stuff. And I won't see the back of it. Matt, social. We can do more about our lives in subsequent shows and the ways we've had to change our working practices. Have we got any more news topics today?
Oh, we actually have several more news topics.
Wait a minute.
One of my...
I haven't played a bumper for a while. Maybe I should do that to
Good
make
idea.
it sound more radio-y. And you have to remind everyone what they're listening to every 5 minutes. That's the radio way. If you want to do it in a radio style, you are listening to Remain Indoors podcast, where we keep you entertained, tell you what we're watching, and look at some of the lighter news stories from around the internet. It's me, Richard Spanners Ready at Spanners Ready on Twitter. You can be my Facebook friend too, Richard Ready on Facebook. And Matt is on Twitter at MattPET55. We're also bringing along some of our friends to come and talk to us, to occupy us through this fine, I keep calling it the apocalypse. I've got to stop doing that. I'm lightheartedly calling it the apocalypse and referring to before the pandemic as the before time.
Yes, well, you don't want to ruin your big shot at fame Saturday nights by accidentally referring to the apocalypse, do you?
Or prematurely revealing changes to the schedule on a FM radio station, Matt. But
Yes.
well,
I didn't say about what, now did I?
No. Right, we're also joined today by Alex Van Gene. He is Alex Van Gene on Twitter, and Van Gene is spelled VANGEEN. He's desperate to reach 1,000 followers. Van Gene, he wants to reach 1,000 followers on Twitter. So what I suggest we all do is follow him, get him to like 990, and then all hilariously unfollow him because it means a lot to him and it will be hilarious.
If you want to see a grown man cry, that's one way to do it. But no, I'm up, after the last push, I'm now up to 7:45, I think.
Well done. Well done. Of course, the
No,
only
8:45. 8:45, sorry. 8:45.
The only reason Spanners wants that to happen is because our loving Slack community pulled the same prank on him back in the day, and he's just desperate to visit that pain and unhappiness on someone else to pass it on.
If I had to be unhappy, I want other people to be unhappy as well. That's my mentality for everything. So because I'm generally sad and miserable on a golf course, if I'm gonna play golf with someone, I set a tee time for a day I think it's likely to rain, so it will be wet. I do it early in the morning, so it will be cold, and they will be miserable from only having just woken up. And for me, that only makes me slightly less miserable because I was miserable anyway at the prospect. And they are off their game because they're unhappy. So yes, I want Alex to share in my unhappiness.
That's kind of what I do to you at a go-kart track, isn't it? Invite you on a cold, wet morning to go go-karting because we know how much you love karting in the rain.
But my tactics for karting in the rain, in the dry, I think I can go-kart a bit. In the wet, there's no point because you turn the wheel and it doesn't do anything. Oh, here I am driving along. Oh, it's wet on the ground. Okay, go-kart, we're going to go right now. I know how to turn right in a car. You move the wheel thingy clockwise. Hooray! And the go-kart goes, no, I'm going that way still. And then you crash. So there's no fun. My tactic for go-karting in the rain is to pull the go-kart over in whatever direction the go-kart decides to go, get out, go home. Ideally not turn up in the first place. But that's not where we got distracted so easily. Yeah, so I got up to like 990 followers, and our website guy, Felix, our graphics man, like went to a lot of effort, to be fair. He made a new Slack channel, I think, just so that he could coordinate everybody systematically unfollowing me, and then I went down to like 970, and I was so sad because I was really looking forward to it, like Alex is, and then I was like, what's happening? Like, why am I bleeding followers? Was I hacked? Did I say something terrible? And I was really upset. And then when I found out it was a hilarious joke, I had to then pretend to take it in good humor, but I still haven't forgiven Felix for that.
What was also funny when I hit 800 and I thanked the person who became my 800th follower, somebody unfollowed me, then refollowed me and said, right, now I'm your 800th follower, so thank me. I didn't thank him, but I did find it very, very funny. And it's no longer a tactic that will be rewarded with humor.
No, but you can still unfollow him hilariously. I'll let you know when we get closer to the time. Right, that's not what I was doing. All I was doing was doing a bumper and reminding everybody that they're listening to the Remain Indoors podcast, which I've just realised what the initialism of that is. Okay. The Remain Indoors stream. Let's see if Riz. Welcome to the Remain Indoors stream, Riz. Good save me. Okay, what's the story, Matt?
Well, as you know, certain parts of the U.S. are now locking down in the style of Italy and Spain.
Again, a light-hearted story. Good.
And only essential businesses are allowed to be open. Now, traditionally, these businesses have included things like pharmacies, grocery stores, But in Los Angeles, they also include CBD stores, i.e., weed. Have weed dispensaries
Whoa.
have been now declared essential businesses and will be allowed to stay open in Los Angeles.
I have questions.
Yes, okay.
Okay, in America land, actually, let's do some basic knowledge of America. I have no idea. Is the law the same everywhere? Like, or is state by state?
No,
So-
it's state by state.
Is there like some laws that are national? Like, definitely don't kill anyone. That's a whole national rule. You don't need your own individual don't kill anyone laws.
There are state laws and there are federal laws. Federal
Federal.
laws apply to everybody.
I've
State
heard that.
laws apply within states. Yes.
Right. Okay. So, is there a federal law that says weed, marijuana, is legal, or is it state by state?
No, it's state by state. It's I think they sort of negotiate a hands-off kind of policy. I don't know. The whole thing legally still confuses me incredibly because certain things are legal, certain things are illegal, but somehow, and probably just mostly due to the amount of money involved, these dispensaries have been allowed to operate in certain states that have legalized the sale.
Oh, okay. But are we talking at like your corner shop? So are you going to the corner shop counter and saying, "Oh, can I have one marijuana, please?" I don't know how marijuana works.
No, it's not like that. These are specialized stores, and that's all they sell, and they have to be, I think, licensed or
Okay.
whatever. Like it's certain states have the same thing. You can sell wine in a wine shop, but you can't sell booze. If you sell booze, you have to go to a special store licensed to sell booze by the state, and that's all really that you get there. So it's kind of like a specialized thing, but they've decided that's an essential business
Wow.
to keep open. And I don't know. I think I have to kind of agree, given the general state of the world. Like, that's probably pretty essential for some people
okay.
just to sort of maintain some stability. You know
All
what I'm
right.
saying?
Okay, so we'll loop back to that, but I guess our equivalent in our house is alcohol, and we do want some alcohol in the house to enjoy the apocalypse too. You know, some tunes and some whiskey and some wine.
Yes. Now, I'm glad you brought that up because it makes an excellent segue to my next topic, which is it's a real problem because things like bars and restaurants are only allowed to be open for takeout. But if you're a bar, that's problematic. So here in New York City, at least, and I think other places in the country, if your bar serves food, you are now allowed to deliver food and drinks to dwellings, to establishments, to people's homes. And so as a result, you can now say, hey, my favorite local bar that I'm no longer allowed to go to, I'd like a single order of salsa and chips and 2 gallons of gin and tonics, please.
I mean, Amazon hasn't stopped shipping booze yet, but yeah, it's weird that, you know, I have had one booze delivery order from Prime Now. I think it's called Prime Now, where they will deliver the same day. So in the morning, the family was away, and I went, oh, this is going to be like a video game and booze evening, sat on my own in my pants with an Xbox controller. And I felt really shady about it. I ordered a bottle of spirit, and it did arrive that day, but it had to be a 40 quid minimum. So I bought lots of alcohol instead. So that's fine. But it is, why would you then go to a bar where it's going to be like 10 times the price to order your booze for takeout?
Well, to support your local establishment because they can deliver drinks to you, pre-mixed drinks to you, but you cannot go to them because now they've all been closed by order of the government. And speaking of governments, Anders in the chat room lets us know in California, licenses are decided at a local level. So some cities do still prohibit sales, but in Los Angeles, I guess it's okay. And Rob helpfully informs us that his local brewery, which I'm assuming I can't simply drive to, has opened a drive-through collection point so they can still get the awesome local beer that they enjoy.
How long is it until we have, I don't know, we could do this, a video bar. We could do it, couldn't we? Why don't we start with our little crew of podcasters? Why don't we just have an hour where we hang out with a drink, not recording stuff for once, and just so that we can socialize a little bit, and then we can
Virtual
think
pub.
about virtual pub, and then we can think about extending that out. Somebody send me ideas of how that might work and what rules you would have to have. The conferencing thing we choose is quite handy because I can have a waiting room, bring people in and out. I can mute people if they're drunk and disorderly. I can boot them out. And some of the main culprits are in the live chat today, who would be the ones that we would have to boot out. So there you go. That's a nice idea already.
I love it. So this does bring up the question of when eventually things go back to whatever the new normal is going to be. I don't know if I see this changing. I think there are some things that will be essentially different, and getting booze delivered from your local bar could suddenly be a thing that we see in the future going forward. And I'm all in favor of that.
I don't think we'll ever return quite to the before time. I think this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in my lifetime. It's the biggest disruption to normal society. And there's actually a lot of positive things to come out of it. There will be a tomorrow. The sun will continue to rise. This is a very difficult time, but I'm already noticing in my house some habits we're developing where we're going, right, we should have just been doing this the whole time. Like, we should have just been doing these things the whole time. So, chat room and you guys, let's end today's show, pilot, if you like, and do tell us if it was a disaster or whether we should keep going. Let's end today's show by talking about some of the positive things that we've suddenly realized as we spend more time at home. I'd say the number one thing for everyone, obviously, is washing hands. So at school, my kid came out and I said to her, have you washed your hands today before you come and see us? She's like, no. I said, no, go on, just nip in, wash your hands, come back out and just make a habit of it. And she rolled her eyes so hard. She was like, ugh. I said, actually, do you know what, V? This is just what we should have been doing anyway, Alex. You know what I mean? This should have been how we were doing stuff in any case.
Your butter wouldn't melt daughter rolled her eyes at you.
Hard. She rolled her eyes.
Wow,
hard.
I never thought that sweet, innocent little girl would roll her eyes at you. But no, the whole case of, it is funny that the world's gone mad about hand washing. Surely you do that anyway. I don't get the whole obsession. Everyone sort of
suddenly
flabbergasted. They have to do it more and properly. I'm like, it's just good hygiene.
I
was never a student, so I never had to worry about not showering for 12 days and all this kind of stuff that I know students used to do.
Someone's asking in the chat, have the schools shut? They have as of the end of Friday, so as of the end of today in the UK. But yeah, I've always done that with the hand washing and the not touching my face just to avoid flus. And because my wife is a singer, she's always done the same. So we've always tried our best to avoid those kind of viruses anyway. But that's an obvious one. Matt?
Yeah, I think there is such a thing as being too clean, especially as a kid, because you do need to challenge your immune system. And there have been sort of mixed messages about how often and how carefully you really need to wash your hands. I'm not like a huge hand washer, at least in the before times.
You mucky.
And I actually got sick generally less than my family did. So, I think there's just a normal level. Some people are very, I guess I have to use the word obsessive or careful perhaps about keeping things clean at all times. My daughter is amongst them. And I sometimes am like, really? You really need to wash your hands again? And this is even before this happened.
I was more conscious of it than getting into my body. So, I'm not paranoid about my hands particularly, but then do you need to touch your eyes and face to get stuff in? So this is what I'm saying. Look, we're learning a lot of things that we should have just been doing anyway. We all know about the panic buying that's going on in the UK and in a lot of countries around the world. I kind of regret tweeting about it because there's a lot of answers coming in, and I guess I was being a little bit... my emotions showed through this because I'll tell you what happened.
Okay.
My neighbour came to our front door to lend us some Calpol. And she's a single...
What?
It's a brand name, sorry. Kiddie paracetamol doused in sugar. You may as well put some medicine in a Kit Kat. But yeah, so she's She had some, and she was like, "Oh, okay, here you go. You can have this whole bottle. Don't need it." But she's a single widow of two younger girls, and she went to the supermarket, and there was nothing in the way of fresh meat. There was very, very little in the way of vegetables, and it was just impossible for her to feed her kids. And she's had a few days of it now, where it's not impossible. I'm sure they could, eat a tin of beans or whatever. But she's sitting there and close to tears, going, "All I want to do is provide for my kids and just cook them like a lasagna with some fresh vegetables. That's all I want to do." And I didn't panic buy, and I didn't hoard, and now I'm suffering because everybody else is. And it's right. She was just being responsible, just doing her normal shops, and she suffered because of that. In our area, the shelves have been absolutely picked clean, and I tweeted, "I'm finding it hard not to feel anger towards those people who have picked the supermarket shelves clean. I don't want to, because as a father, I understand the need to protect and the urge to protect my family and make sure that we have enough." But I just said, please stop it. This is a national embarrassment. And I think that tweet is too emotional. I will try and bring that back a bit. But, the look on our neighbour's face that she couldn't even make a spag bowl kind of brought it all home to us. But Mrs. Spanners, Nicola, is a much better person than I am, because I could see what she was thinking. Which is, we have a bit of frozen mince in the freezer. And I'm like, "Don't do it. I also want spaghetti bolognese. Don't do it."
That's how the zombies get into your fallout shelter.
Yeah, exactly. You let that one person in, and then as you're shutting the door, the hand goes in, dunk, and that's it. You're all zombies. Oh, I was like, "Don't do it, Nick. Don't do it." And she just did. She just went, "Look, we have a packet of mince. You're more than welcome to it. We'll call it an exchange for the Calpol."
See, what Lauren did round our road was, on one of the days I was locked in, she took the kids for a walk around the road and posted a letter through every single person's door in our road, to the 49 houses in our road, put her phone number on it. And since then, we've now got a WhatsApp chat. I shot downstairs a couple of minutes ago because one of our neighbours had popped to Costco, and we were low on cheese and we were low on yogurt. And he went and got some yogurt and some cheese for us. So actually building this little community that we've built in the last few days has been really, really beneficial, because everyone's been asking if someone can go and get this, or someone's got any of this, and everyone's helping each other out. Things like paracetamol as well. It seems like everyone's really low on paracetamol. So we've had people trying to scramble together to help make sure people have got some medicine. It's actually a really good thing to do if you've got close neighbours.
No, I hate all my neighbours. I'd rather stay close to you guys. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I can't have spag bol now, but we've got plenty of Calpol. Oh, good. I'll mix Calpol in with my bolognese and chopped peppers. Great.
My kids love Calpol.
Of course they
absolutely
do.
Love the stuff. When one of them needs it, the other one's like, "Me?
Me too.
No, you don't need it."
Yeah.
But they don't like the Nurofen one. The
This is great podcasting, Alex. The
Nurofen, the white one.
Good. Excellent.
Have you seen that one?
No. Yeah. Do you want to keep asking? Do we know? Do you want to maybe do a hand signal that like describes the shape of it? Maybe.
I'm waiting for the chat room to come in with an answer.
It's like this big.
Help you out.
So the reason I went that direction was because I was talking about, obviously there is a danger of running out of things. So we have suddenly become really, really good at only cooking enough, only eating until we're full, not overeating, and making sure that we like save the leftovers all properly and go, that can now go with that meal, that can go with that meal. And you go, yeah, but we should have been doing this before. In our defense, we are generally very busy, but that's not an excuse. And I think now that we have learned those good habits, we'll take those good habits forward, I think. And losing a little bit of weight. I'm missing the full extent of my podge, but I think, I'm kind of going, well, if I eat 2 of those things, that is potentially another half a meal's worth in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, well, you talk about rationing. One of the things I got for Christmas was SodaStream, so you can make your own seltzer. And I got to say, it was a very timely investment given all that's happened since, because you go through a lot of plastic bottles and you have to make trips to the store weekly to replenish your supply. But normally I do like the 5 pushes because I like the really bubbly seltzer. I've reduced to 4, And so now I'm getting more bottles and I just live with slightly less bubbles. And I think probably a lot of people are thinking the same way. And regarding, we were pretty early in the curve for laying in our supplies. We had this
Yeah, your
discussion
preppers.
offline.
Yeah.
And we finally reached the point yesterday where there was, just like one or two things. We needed a particular kind of pasta, maybe, and this and
It's
that. And
pasta.
believe it or not, drain cleaner was something that we missed out. We'd run out of it. We needed more. So I went and happily the little shop around the corner from us had everything we needed. And I was like, I knew this shop would deliver because they always deliver on these like important household items that you wouldn't think a store like this has, but they actually do. And I go to check out and I hear the guy, the cashier, and he is coughing.
Nice. Cheers, buddy.
And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? Do I just abandon everything and go someplace else? But I took a chance, held my breath, and checked out. And I think it's all okay.
My daughter just cleared her throat. She just went like like that, and I went, "Oh my god, oh no!" And I picked her up and I put her outside the front door and I shut the door. Well, which she didn't find funny.
We picked up the last day my daughter went to school. We said, we are going to drive you. We don't want you on the subway. And I pick her up and we're like, not even on the highway yet. We're just coming down and she sneezed. And I turned to her and I said, did you just sneeze in my car? And I pulled over. I said, you must get out now.
Go, get out. When my daughter came back in, she said, nothing's changed. You were annoying before coronavirus and you're annoying now. She's 8 and 9. I'll end with a suggestion for a game we had a lot of fun with. You write a title and an opening few sentences. You then pass that along to the next person in your family. You all do this, and then, I know, Alex, you'll have to write. Get someone to write for you. It'll be fine. Then you write a few sentences, and then an ending, and come out with some stories. See if you can do better than my kids. This is what we ended up with. Once upon a time, a meteorite... No, that's racist to Matt. Once upon a time, a meteorite hit Earth and split it in half. And then there's the next one. Causing the atmosphere to fly off to Mars. Silly children. Back on Earth, no humans or animals could survive. It's gone pretty dark. You can tell the apocalypse theme is heavy here. Except the fish who were floating in the ginormous bubbles of water, which led to a really interesting science question. Can you do that? Can you just have a mass of water in space with some fish in it? Maybe. 957 million years later, the fish have now got human-sized brains and can now talk, but unfortunately, a giant banana hit them and they can't think anymore. We don't know where the banana came from, said the banana in a serious voice. So that is how our first attempt at that wordy game went. I hope you guys can have a lot of fun. We're going to come back here on Monday and we'll talk about some more positive things that we've learned in the apocalypse. I'm going to stop calling it the apocalypse. We're going to go through some of the light news stories from around the internet and try and bring some positivity. But above all, though, guys, make sure you remain indoors.
Yeah, so you're telling this story, and it made me think of years and years and years ago, having dinner at a friend's house, and they had a daughter who was maybe 8, 10, and furious with her mom, utterly furious. And she'd had to write a story for school, and at dinner, she was at dinner, she says, would you like to hear my story? And so we said yes, and she starts reading the story. And the story essentially is one of a family in the woods, kind of Hansel and Gretel. And there's a wolf and there's danger. And at the end of it, the wolf eats the mom.
Nice. Okay. How old is she when
she was like 10 when she wrote this. So I was thinking of the story, and I just took that happy memory, because we were, as adults, all howling with laughter inside.
Honestly.
And she was clearly, as a child, so furious she would write a story where her pretend mom in the story gets eaten by a wolf.
Kids are just really morbid and grim. Like, when you delve into their imagination, it's all about people's arms falling off, everyone gets eaten, everyone always dies, and they love it and they're gleeful. Like, when I read this out about we don't know where the banana came from, said the banana in a serious voice. Like, my kids, they were just cracking up. Brilliant. Highly recommended. And we will see you tomorrow. Guys, that ends the official stream part. So I might edit out and cut off the end, but do feel free to chat and hang out.
Comments?
Is there good ones? We're going to do a comment.
Matthew looks incredible. Like the new handsome Spanish shave, please. It's New York. Zombies.
Please, people,
only
can we
ever
not bring
one
that
problem
here?
away.
I tell you what we'll do. I need a new bumper, though. It needs to be comment of the day. Oh, I should have said who's coming up. Can I do my outro again?
Yes, please.
Can I do the outro again and include the bit with Nick? Who's on Monday? Do you know what? I can't remember. That'll do. I never said when we'll be back. It's fine.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I've seen musicians do like streaming events and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Would Miss Spanners be interested in doing like a little cocktail hour thing? Ask her. Let me know.
She's very moody. I don't know if she'll be up for that. She'll probably yell at me for the suggestion.
But we could live stream it and have a tip jar. And I'm just saying, I mean, we always play together at the patron thing, and it doesn't have to be like super fantastic.
Would you two playing music together over Zoom not work because there's probably a delay?
You'd have to take turns.
It depends on the delay. There's always a delay. I think for every 10 feet, it's like a tenth of a second. So in a symphony orchestra, you could be 100 feet away from the violins, but you do have a conductor to sort of help keep you together. We'd have to obviously test it and see if it worked. But if we're talking noodly kind of jazz that we normally do, we might be able to get away with it.
I can conduct. That's fine. A pretty lady playing music on a stream. That'll never catch on. No, that'll never. Have you seen it on YouTube? There's loads of like pretty lady playing ukulele channels. There's loads. And there's hardly, I'm sure there's an equal amount of men that can play ukulele. It's just not as interesting a live stream.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking it's something we do at our live events. And so it's something we could offer our community, if they're interested, if they need a little background music for work or I just want to check it out.
I'd like to see Spanners losing his masculine pride in a live podcast if Mrs. Spanners comes in. I don't change how I am to my wife. There's just a background. It's like a duet of somebody exactly the same, but a lady yelling back at me. So no, I'm not. I don't go, oh, hello, lovely wife, who I love. I've just been telling everybody lovely things about you. I say, no, you know full well I'm going to tell everybody all the horrible things you do because this is the only time I get to vent and get to tell people.
It's literally the reason you podcast.
Yeah.
It is literally what started you podcasting.
No, it is.
This is
You're
true.
very well aware.
Actually, not quite true. Not quite true. We started podcasting, me and her together, complaining about our children, right? And then we were complaining about how it's so terrible. We can't go out anymore, and I'm tired. And we did about 20 of those. And then we ended up just like arguing over the podcast. And there was a couple of podcasts where she was like, I'm not doing this with you anymore. You're stupid. And then I went, right, no, do you know what? You're stupid. And I bet other men's wives are stupid and horrible. And I'm going to find those men. And then I'm going to podcast about it. And that's how Dad Hub was born.
And that's how I found you.
Oh my God, Alex!
Missed Apex wasn't first for me.
Alex, do you know that you're quieter over here and then much louder when you get here. I've been riding.
Am I? I didn't know that actually happens. Is that a problem?
Oh
I'm
God,
really
I have
sorry.
been riding the fader like a rodeo clown. Is what
Once
I've
I
been
get back to my normal setup, it'll be better.
the
I promise.
ergonomics of your thing are so bad. Like I've seen what's happened.
This chair's really uncomfortable.
You're typing away. So yeah, so that's it. So one thing is like you're there, like doing that, and then you see something in the live stream, so you respond to it, but you're having to reach for your keyboard, so you're suddenly like, that's right, yeah, no, it's bah, and you go, oh right, okay, and I go, ah. So my fader's worn out now because I'm just going up and down, up and down. Let's see how good a job I did. Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's stop streaming. We don't have to do this forever, but thank you for keeping us company. Tell your friends that it was sort of fine, and I think we're going to have a good time. Nick Alexander is going to be with us Monday, 2 p.m. UK time, and I think it's 7 in the morning for him. But I was like,
yeah, that's like
yeah,
mad early because they're 3 hours behind me, and it was 10 when we started ish.
But I was like, suck it up, Buttercup, come and join us. So he's going to. So, well, we don't have an out thing, so it is just the awkward shuffling of papers. Straighten your papers out, and then
Yeah, well, I'll read the comments I captured, and people can decide for themselves which they like.
Go on then. Do you want to do it?
Or
now?
no, Alex hates this. He hates this idea. So I think I got down to one of my favorite. It's New York. Zombies only ever one problem away. Kyle, and I'm going to tell you, Kyle, yes, Kyle, our Kyle, says about your incipient facial hair. A cat could lick that off.
I've never claimed it's good facial hair. I'm just being lazy.
I know. Sam Watley says Spanners is working on a Captain Rios beard, I think. Watch for new accents.
If you could see me in like real life, you would see that my beard is that's not a good Spanish accent, is it?
You should do the bad Scottish one because you've already got that down.
Right. Oh, that's my impression of Scottish people where they're really offended. I don't sound anything like that.
You can get away with it because you're doing Rios being a bad Scottish accent and not
yeah.
doing it directly.
Oh no, but he's gone like full Scotty. Oh no, I can't do it, Captain. We're pushing her to the limit. Which actually,
You
that
need to
was
say, get in my belly.
get in my belly. I think that was too good. It was too good. Are you continuing to read the comments, or can we go?
No, we can go. That was pretty much it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Monday if you like. Oh, Sam H triggered because he's Scottish.